What do bubbles have to do with vaccines at all? I'll tell you all that and more right after this. Thanks and welcome back. I'm glad that you're willing to join me again. Hey, in this episode, I teased in the last episode where I was talking about vaccine bubbles. Now, that topic actually also touches on this whole idea of how viruses tend to move through populations and how a combination of viral immunity from the wild-type virus and vaccine immunity can help us win victory over this virus. Stay tuned as I step you through one of my fancy illustrations on how this all works.
With our
Let's
population.
get started.
And I'm just going to draw my little universe right here, and I'm going to come through and put a population in it. Now the number of X's, it doesn't matter. This is all big concept stuff. So I'm not drawing it to scale. I'm just drawing enough here to provide the general gist of what goes on in this. This is a population that doesn't have any immunity. Now we want to assume one factor about the virus that I'm going to introduce. And the thing that we're going to assume about this virus is that if it infects the first person it infects, that person can go ahead and infect 2 other people. So we're going to start right here. Now that person becomes infected, and they're going to go ahead and infect 2 other people. Those people who were infected are going to go ahead and infect 2 other people. Now those people who were infected are going to go ahead and infect 2 other people. At least 2 other people. So you can start to see that this is spreading through here really quickly, and it doesn't take long for me to get all the way over to the other side with my arrows. Okay, so a virus that spreads at a 2-to-1 ratio there is going to burn through that really quickly. Okay, now what if, let's take this for a second here. So we're going to go from our base population with no natural immunity. Now we're going to come through and we're going to take a population here. Start with my population again. Again, the X's aren't to scale, the X's are to prove a point here. I know, these are very exciting little cross-armed stick people. All right, but this time I'm going to introduce a vaccine. So if I'm coloring them in blue, it means that they were vaccinated. Okay, now again, this isn't a representative sample here. It's just going to provide a concept. So our infection starts right there. So it's the same rules. One infected person is going to infect 2 others. So we start with that. All right. So this is one of our people who was just infected. Well, that interrupted. There was an interruption there. But this person can probably get across diagonally like that. Now, again, each infected person is going to infect 2 other people. You can see what the vaccine has done. It's provided a change in the flow, the rate of spread through that population. Now, let's take this a step further. So we've got our population. I'll go through here and put all my little X's in. And one of the questions you may be asking is this how herd immunity works? And on a conceptual level, absolutely, this is how herd immunity can work. But I'm going to go into more detail with that in one of the later videos because that is being misconstrued a little bit. Let's make sure we've got a good foundation like this. Now we've already seen what happens as the virus would try and spread through a population that has been vaccinated. What if if the virus has gone through, what if we have some people who, however they managed to get it, have been infected by the virus previously, recently enough, to still have antibodies? So how is our virus going to move through this population? Well, if purple is my virus this time, again, same rules. One infected person is going to infect 2 other people. Now, let's see. Well, I can go there. These guys are probably too far away for him to be for him to see him. So that may have caused this to slow. Well, let's say that we had another visitor bring it in over here. He's going to infect 2 other people. 1, 2. Oh boy. So now, if we combine our hands, face, space with combinations of vaccinated people and people who have antibodies from wild type infection, now we're starting to put the virus on the run. And that becomes important. Now, what I want to talk about in the meantime, until we accomplish this picture, we have a population here, and we have a population here. So this is going to be you, your family, and your friends. And this is going to be some friends you haven't seen in a while that you haven't hung out with. And between the 2 of you are all of these little virus particles waiting to find a home. Now, if you or one of your crew decides to go this direction over here, the chances that you're picking up some passengers and introducing them into that population becomes very high. And this is the idea behind the super spreader event. So again, remember, if one infected person can infect 2 other people, suddenly we're getting to go spread through there. So you've picked up the virus, you've spread it to those people, and then it's time for you to go home, and you have brought the viral infection in now to your crew. Okay, so we have seen that play out. We know that that's how that works. Let's go one step further. So again, 2 populations. This is going to be you, your family, and your crew here. The ones you're closest with, the people that you're hanging out with. And this is going to be the crew that you haven't seen in a little while. And all through here, we have this little minefield of plenty of virus hanging out here, looking for someone to hang on to. Now, let's say that you're all healthcare workers, or high-risk people, or you're in this population that gets to get its vaccine first. All right, so we're like this. So you've got your little vaccine shields on there. Now, if you decide to go on a trip, you're going to go on a trip from here to here. Again, you'll see that we managed to pick up 3 little friends here, which means those 3 little friends are with you. Now, one of the big questions, and I talked about this in one of the other videos, we're not necessarily sure if you, as a person who's vaccinated, if you pick up those particles, we're not sure how much or if you're going to shed. Now, in this particular case, though, because your destination is also fully vaccinated, the risk is much lower that you're going to get severe disease. And we know that those vaccines, the 2 mRNA vaccines, are 94 to 95% effective. So this is a very low risk scenario. Now the catch is, however, until we have an appropriate mix of wild type immunity and vaccine immunity on these particular trips through here, you still have to observe the hands, face, space rules, because there's a possibility that one of these little reds is actually a little red that picked up a new trick. And these are the mutants. And those, we don't want to have them reproduce. And the only way to avoid getting those to be a higher percentage is by reducing overall infectiousness to begin with. And that's going to require a whole lot of coordinated work for both of us. Thanks for humoring my little illustrations here.
Now that we've gone through that big conceptual framework of how viruses can move through communities and how a combination of wild type immunity, when you have had the virus and still have antibodies, plus vaccine immunity can work together, here's a big word, synergistically, to help us achieve victory over the virus. I know that that concept was big picture and that there are some details that we're going to flesh out as we move forward. But for now, remember, if you can find a buddy or 2 or 3 when your turn to come up and get vaccinated is there, that's going to help slow the spread. As always, hands, face, and space is still going to be important as we move forward with this. Again, I'm Scott, I'm a pharmacist. This has been Coffee with a Pharmacist. Thank you.